Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Feels very weird to say that after like literally 3-month break, but I am finally here. I'm finally making video. And if you've been wondering why I disappeared from YouTube, it's because I was finishing my master's degree, and I have to admit it was a lot of damage. And just a friendly advice, if you're just finishing your bachelor's, please chill. Just take a break, like work maybe not, maybe just chill, travel, do anything, but not start your master's degree right away. It's literally your sign, universe is telling you not to. And if you thought that this video can't get any nerdier than what it is, I am here to disappoint you, because today we're having book recommendations, and not only books but also my favorite fashion resources, apart from the most popular ones that you already know and probably used to learn about fashion. Some of those that I really enjoy for more unusual takes or for deeper information, but we'll get to that later. First of all, book recommendations. If you are even slightly interested in fashion in more academic way, historical maybe, then you probably know this book very well. It's Cecil Beaton's Glass of Fashion, which is just perfect introductory level book to fashion. But I'm not going to be talking about this book today, because I literally have its arch nemesis right here, and let me explain what I mean by that. These two books, Cecil Beaton's Glass of Fashion and Bettina In My Fashion, are very similar in their genre, perhaps. Both of them are fashion-centered autobiographies, but Cecil Beaton, he was kind of always in vogue, if that makes sense. Like, he's been brought up in wealthy family. His mother was an actress and socialite, so he was in those circles of fashionable people since his early years. And after that he worked for Vogue and was mainly famous and renowned for his portraits of celebrities, because he has this perfect intuitive kind of sense of personality. So when he captures people, it's divine. Like, you can't find a better portrait personality photographer than Cecil Beaton. Bettina, on the other hand, got into fashion by a chance, and what actually landed her job in Vogue was a bit of beef with our dear Cecil. And I hate sometimes being such a petty rat that I am, but I do enjoy some good fashion tea. So here we go. Cecil Beaton's writing style is very poetic. Like, he's all about metaphors and that sort of stuff, and sometimes, most of the time, it is only a praising. Like, he does nothing but praise the people that he's talking about. In this book, I've never read about a soul thing that he doesn't like, and it is not a bad thing. It is not a bad thing, just because that's his nature. He sees beauty in everything, even in most ugly, disgusting things. He thinks it beautiful. Bettina, on the other hand, has very skeptic eye. Her personality is more grounded, even a bit feisty, I would say. So at some point, Cecil traveled to Tunisia, and being as poetic as he was, he described its streets in the most beautiful adjectives and metaphors and all that sort of thing. But then Bettina went to Tunisia, and she strongly disagreed with his description, so she published an article in New Yorker basically bashing Cecil's article about Tunisia. So here is a little extract of what Cecil told about Tunisia, and he wrote: "Through the filigree leaves of the olive and pepper trees, the homes of waking birds, the crescent moon shines bright in the sky. The sun has not yet risen. Silver pale, cold gold clouds are islands of two gauze and lame." Beautiful. I truly adore his writing style. But then here's what Bettina tells. to contrast his opinion. My departure from Quran was a little different. As the train, crowded with Arabs, pulled out of a dusty station, the ragged Arab who had pursued us for days with a scorpion in a matchbox that he offered to eat each day for a little less money was running beside the train, holding the scorpion over his mouth and yelling, "Mangez, mangez, mangez, 5 francs," in awful Arab French that would have frightened away any of those waking birds. So I guess we can all say that Bettina was not the most sensitive and tolerant person, but that article actually landed her job at Vogue. And she also says that Cecil Beaton never forgave her for that article, which was very awkward considering that they were working for the same publication. But what is precious about her book is that she shares a genuine unedited journey of her as an editor at Vogue, because she started from the very bottom, no influential friends. She was not rooted in fashion in any way, yet she landed the job. And as she herself told that when she first came to Vogue, they literally just gave her a desk and didn't tell what to do. And she shares in her book the most humiliating, the most awkward experiences ever. And I think that's one of the main points why I enjoyed it so much. And I genuinely think that this book is perfect for someone who dreams about or maybe already pursues career in fashion publication, because it is just so rich with personal insights and tips. For example, how to network with people during the parties, how to talk to people, and with a very precise critical eye. She talks about snobism within the fashion industry. She talks about low wages, like she discloses the wages that she was getting at the time. She shares some of her personal interactions with Edna Chase, who, in my humble opinion, is the best thing that ever happened to Vogue, and I wish she just lived forever and was editor at Vogue forever. But Vogue was a democracy and everyone had a voice in it, even the lowest member, which I certainly was. Edna Chase had wanted every thought, every heart, and every voice to be for the thing she loved most in the world, which was Vogue magazine. Like, how did you go from this to that? But the most interesting part starts where she gets assigned to Paris office of Vogue, and if it is not original Emily in Paris, I don't know what is. Like, she's been humbled so bad. Not even humbled, just straightforward humiliated. And she is so honest about every single problem she encountered. For instance, how she was severely underpaid in Vogue, and basically her wage could only cover like a tiny little apartment and food. She had no money for clothes, entertainment, anything. And when she asked for a pay rise, she was rejected, obviously. And she then tried to get a job as a mannequin for Chanel, and she was just ridiculed by the employees. And she just goes into the detail of humiliation of this whole situation. And just like in the series, she had really hard time adjusting to French, just their way of communicating and living. She was constantly feeling as a stranger, meaning everyone would talk to her, be really nice and polite, but no one would invite her for lunch, no one would invite her to do anything. All these humiliating and in some way like heartbreaking and sad stories are presented with just such impeccable sense of humor, which is really rare for fashion books, especially older fashion books. And Bettina has this really sharp, sarcastic sense of humor that I personally really enjoy. For instance, like it can be dark sometimes. Like she describes one of the photographers under dust. I don't know how can you describe the man better than that. He was frail and small, smoked interminable cigarettes, had money of his own, and had had tuberculosis. He was the first Frenchman I saw drink whiskey, and it eventually killed him. Anyways, alongside with all these beautiful personal insights and little cute moments, she gives very substantial picture of fashion, especially in Europe, great historical context, and she also has this very deep connection with many photographers and designers, even the biggest ones like Coco Chanel and Christian Dior. Like, she was very intimate with the brightest people in fashion of the 20th century, and I think that is definitely, her intelligence is very valuable if you want just to learn more about fashion. And unlike Cecil Beaton's book, it's the same, she covers the same basically time period, but it just presented in a more analytical way, like skeptical analytical way that does not try to hide the problems within the industry and just speaks freely about them all, which we can all value. So yeah, I guess you already understood that I recommend this book big time, but I do not recommend you trying to find a hard copy because you would spend a fortune on that probably. So just download PDF. I think they're available on Kindle, and enjoy your read. And now on to my next favorite read of this month. It's something that you've probably seen all over the Instagram, because I'm pretty sure that every single person that follows me does follow Aya. But I just could not resist. Look at that. Look at the quality. Look at the quality of this thing. How can you resist getting something like that? And I know that this recommendation doesn't sound like the most impartial one, because it is probably not. But I still do really recommend, mainly for the reason that I mentioned in the beginning of my video, that I do really love when new talents, young rising talents, are brought to the spotlight, and that's what the Fashion Archive magazine does. Brings all the wonderful people like Alexandra Sipa and plenty of others in deep, thorough interviews on the subjects and the idea behind what they do and their clothes. And if you watch my channel for long enough, you know that the history, the story, the concept behind the clothes is something that I value the most. It is not even about textile or, the quality of stitches to me, as it is about the person that made this thing and the idea that they put into the garment. So this little thing is definitely one of the best to learn about the rising stars in fashion at the moment, and I cannot wait for the second issue. And my last recommendations are two online sources, which about one of them I talk a lot and I talk about it on my Instagram all of the time, is Me World. And the reason why I support them so much and why I like their fashion content and just cultural content in general is because it's focusing on Arab world, and unfortunately Vogue Arabia has literally zero valuable information about fashion, like nothing. It's just absolutely the most useless thing I've ever seen. So if you want to know about real designers, about their real stories of the fashion world in Arab countries and not just only about Emirates, why my every single video just involuntarily turns into Vogue slander? I have to stop doing that. Or maybe not. Anyways, the last recommendation is a newly launched platform which is called Le Foule, and I cannot stress enough how obsessed I am with every single article there, because it is basically like co-creative thing. So there are independent writers coming there and writing for the platform, and the takes are so spicy most of the time, because they write about culture, they write about fashion, about society, all the sort of issues, media, but all the takes are just so spicy and controversial and interesting. I'm not saying that they're always good, but I'm saying that they're always extremely interesting. And that's something that we all got to be looking for critical views, for different points of views, which help you to broaden your own horizons, to maybe look at the things at a slightly different angle. So if you want an interesting read that maybe will make you angry, go to the full. Also 10 out of 10, recommend, cannot stress enough. Well, finally this note club session is over. Thank you very much for staying with me, and I hope that you enjoy all the information here. Let me know if you read any of the books, if you checked any of the resources, if you have any your resources that you want to share. And I hope that next time we'll meet sooner than in 3 months. Have a great day. Bye.